come together. We are better united. Seems the theme is simple. Be open, be pleasant. Feel this motion, this energy of trust. Watch as these wise men come to show you the evolution of hospitality that you can trust.
Welcome to the second season of the Modern Hotlier, the fastest growing hospitality podcast. Both hosts were named top 100 most powerful people in hospitality and voted fourth most popular podcast by the International Hospitality Institute. Each episode will get to know an industry expert and we'll discuss the latest trends in hospitality to help you, the Modern Hotlier. I'm your host, David Malilly.
I'm your co-host, Steve Karen.
And I'm the producer, John Boomhofer.
Steve, who do we have on the program today?
Yeah, David. Today we have on Ryan Ashley, the poet. Ryan sets up a vintage typewriter, dresses in vintage poet apparel, as you can see, and has a sign that reads, "A poem for you." And what he does, he'll write a custom poem for anybody that comes up. He's been seen in hotels, a lot of weddings, and he's been featured in The Atlantic, the Austin Chronicles, Humans of New York, and dozens of other publications nationwide. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
I'm so excited to be here. Let's do this.
So we will go through a couple sections. We're going to ask you some rapid fire questions, get to know where you grew up, talk to you about your career, and then go into industry type topics. So you ready to go? What was the worst job you ever had?
Oh, I worked at Burger King for a week and a half. Oh my gosh. Oh, I learned it all. I learned fast food. I would sit in the freezer and just almost cry. It was, I don't know how people do it. It's terrible. Never ate it again.
Are you a morning or a night person?
Sometimes both, depending on the moon or yes, no.
What emoji do you use the most?
Oh, wow. I'm not an emoji person. Oh, the one that has where you just peering out of one eye, kind of suspect or, a little guilty. I don't know.
No, that's good. What's your favorite band?
Not a band, but Nils Fromm, composer, does modular synth with classic piano, an absolute just masterpiece of a musician. But as far as bands go, always loved Beach House, James Blake, Leonard Cohen, and whatever he's doing was my favorite. But yeah, Tupac, not a band, but liked it.
Cool. So what's your favorite place you've ever visited?
Oh, well, I just got back from Barcelona. So, gosh, the name always escapes me. We went about 20, 30 miles south on the Balearic Sea, and there was a small little city. The name escapes me, starts with S, but that was paradise.
Seville, maybe?
No. It wasn't anything major. It was literally perfect. But otherwise, probably Muir Woods, just north of San Francisco, I would say, and Zion National Park.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever been told you look like somebody famous, and who was it?
Well, I lost count. So there is Adrian Brody. There is Ross from Friends. Yeah, there's that other guy. Basically, any skinny face Jewish actor with a beard. Jason Schwartzman, I get. And young kids tell me I look like people I don't know because I'm not young. But
so if you had a time machine and you could go into the future, into the past, which way would you go and what year would you go to?
I mean, this is a loaded question. I lost my mom when I was 14, so any chance to go back and say some things would be amazing. Also, having grown up and watched technology become the thing, I definitely would have invested in some Googles. So
probably the past.
I'm curious about the future, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, that was great, Ryan. Thanks so much. So now we're going to kind of get into, a little bit about your personal details, where you grew up, what makes you tick. So right now you're living outside of Asheville, North Carolina. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And were you born in North Carolina or where were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn,
Okay.
youngest of four siblings, but I was raised in southwestern Virginia,
Okay.
in a town called Blacksburg. So, like the foothills of the Appalachians. So, these mountains feel similar, but not Asheville. Small town, very small town. Yeah.
How did that shape you growing up?
Uh, it made me definitely not want to have a southern accent. I know, I'm serious. There's some deep southern roots, but I think it helped me with politeness, charm, gentleness, I suppose. Like the New York was in my blood from my mother, and my siblings, but I don't know. It also kind of sucked because lack of culture. Everyone knew you. I was popular, I guess. It's hard not to be when your graduating class is 150 people, but it was pretty, I guess. Yeah.
So when did you first realize that you had a passion for poetry and that you had a talent to actually do it and do it well?
It's Shel Silverstein, I think. I mean, the light in the attic, like, I just remember watching and listening to words being like used in rhythm in like ways that were beautiful and like whimsical and could make people feel a certain way. I also like learned, what harsh words could do. Basically, I learned the power of words, and I found that poetry was the most intrinsic way of expressing emotions and feelings. And I mean, unfortunately, manipulation, which I try not to do, but when you're a charmer with words, it's there.
Do you have any tricks when writing poetry? Anything that I guess, you've learned over the years that helps making writing poetry a little bit easier or memorable lines and stuff like that?
The trick is really for the guests to provide me with some personalized insight. And I try to dig. I try to ask the questions, what they want to poem about. I make sure that they know that it can be deep, it can be whimsical, it can be playful. It's whatever they want. The trick is, as soon as they deliver a story, an image pops up in my head, and I begin to narrate that from my own perspective. And that ultimately is where the poem begins. And then whatever unravels from there, unravels from there. But yeah, it's listening, an imagery, an observation of imagery, and then getting that first couple lines down and seeing what unravels.
Sure. I love that. I love that. Awesome. So now we'll get into kind of how you got into poetry, but you went to Virginia Tech, and after you graduated, I believe sociology. Is that correct?
I definitely dropped out before I graduated in sociology.
Did you get into poetry right after that, or
No,
how did you?
I was always writing. So sociology was focused on it. Was also like dabbling in hospitality, but college was a weird time. Like I was orphaned when I was 14. I was, and obviously a sensitive, emotional person. So writing has always been a source of expression. And then when I was old enough to have a fake ID to go to bars, I found it very nifty to write little poems on bar napkins for cute women. And there was also AOL Instant Messenger.
Right.
You remember that? You remember the away message?
Got mail.
Yeah, right. You remember the away messages?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I would write poems, and people would tell me that I was good, and I was like, that's great. There's no hope of being a poet in this day and age, but yeah, I like.
You started poetry on AOL Instant Messenger. I love that.
No, I wrote my first poem when I was 9, 10, and got an A
Okay.
plus. But
Nice.
I read Jack Kerouac on the road when I was 15, 16. That was immaculate. Just opened my eyes to the process of writing prose. No format, just free form, just go. And yeah, that was beautiful, and that helped a lot. But I mean, look at us. We're using words. It's what we have. Separation. So poetry is just dancing with words. That's the way I can describe it. You can only go so far with your body. Yeah. With dancing, you're limited to what your body can do. Like you are in this physical realm. I mean, like 3-dimensional. But there seems to be an infinite and endless way of like moving your body. Always something new and unique that people are doing. So with words in that same factor, yes, there are limited, words within the vocabulary of the English language, but the combinations, I mean, like we're probably talking trillions, and being able to be playful and dance with them, yeah, it's beautiful.
I agree. So how did you come up with this look? You have the old time typewriter, you got the suspenders on the hat. How did you come up with this look when you were kind of coming up with this whole idea?
So it's been an evolution. It's evolved. Yeah. Like I said, I was orphaned when I was 14. My first real partner was 26 when I was living in Denver. Basically, I wrote her mom a poem one time at dinner, and she was just blown away at like, wow, you just did that. And I was close with her, because I lost my mom, and she was very sweet with me. She's a very creative, beautiful woman. Her name is Darcy. And she wouldn't let it go. She was like, we need to do something with this. And lo and behold, a month later, she calls a business meeting and she shoves a typewriter in my face. And she's like, you're going to write poems for people. And then she's like, you're going to go do it tomorrow at this Parisian market. And I basically sat in a chair with a typewriter in my lap and a sign on my next to my chair. No suspenders, black t-shirt, like a beanie, like total hipster. Like not like this could be hipster, but it also has history to it. And yeah, I started there. On my second poem, they tried to kick me out, but the lady I was writing a poem for was like, you can't kick him out. This is the coolest thing here. So it was nice to be validated immediately. So
do you have one person who had the most impactful response to you? Like, is there one person whenever you think about wow, this is what I do for a living? Do you go back to one person and you're like, wow, that was awesome?
Man, that's a crazy question. So dozen or so times people will drop bombs on me. They'll tell me, I just found out my child has stage 4 cancer. I hold that space. I get it. They're at a wedding, everybody's having a good time. Poetry, for some reason, makes people feel like they can be vulnerable. Maybe it's my energy. And I've had a handful of those. And those were beautiful and sad and real, but just so real. But the craziest thing is the follow-up, the ones after that. It's someone's like, write me a poem about tequila and cocaine or something like that. And I'm like, switch gears,
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens quite often. But gosh, I've honestly written over 10,000 poems for 10,000 people in my 14 years of doing this. If by calculation, yeah. So many tears, so many just moments. It's kind of crazy, it's hard to capture.
I can imagine. And now kind of, in the industry a little bit, but you've done this in hotels. You mentioned you've done this at the Independent Lodging Congress. How have you seen, your poems impact the guest experience in hotels specifically, I guess?
Well, hospitality is like where I grew up in. I should tell you that. Started out with the back of the house, which I'm so happy because, gosh darn, do those people work super, super hard. And then when they realized, oh, you're actually charming, we should move you to the front of the house. And I realized how much more money I was making. Let's just say I bought lots of beer and would tip out. So hotels, guest experience. I forget who it was on your show that said it's either going to be memorable or it's not, right? And this is memorable, sitting, talking, experiencing, and then literally walking away. I brought some sample stationery from previous properties. So the hotels I work at will get stationery. This is a Good Time Hotel
in Miami Beach. I know that hotel very well. Yes.
Yeah, Dave Grootman
and Pharrell.
What a beast. Yeah, but they have that amazing library. So, but back to being impactful. I mean, I don't want to be arrogant, but like right now, human connection after this pandemic is so essential, and I want to be there. And I used to do it really well. I worked in a couple of Michelin star restaurants, waiting tables, I understand what it means to hold space and be a representation of the brand.
What's your advice for people who are looking to, as you talk about this, what's your advice for those people who are looking to get into hospitality or even do something like you, going out on their own and starting their own business?
Don't do what I'm doing. There's no more room.
Keep the competition up.
I mean, it all comes down to, for the artistic side, vulnerability, putting yourself out there, having your typewriter break on your trip to Seattle and having to handwrite poems. It's the thousands and thousands of no responses from emails and LinkedIn's. And then you get that one, persistence. But hospitality itself, in its most genuine form, I don't feel like it's something that can be taught. I feel like it is a soul-defining character to want to serve, to create. And obviously, if you're working in HR and all that stuff that I have no clue about, it's different. But if you are interacting with guests and people and you want to be good at it, there's only so much you can be taught because it has to be something genuine. And the guests can tell if you're being robotic or if you're actually there, I see you, here I am, I want to help, I want to make your experience, your life better in any way I can. So I was told that, by my mentor. So that's how I moved up from bartending and slinging drinks in sports bars to working in casual fine dining,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think, like you said, you're kind of born with it. I'm the oldest of four boys, and I'm the only one who left my hometown. I'm the only one who really travels, have been outside the country and things of that nature. So, and people are always like, well, why do you do that? Why are you so different from your brothers? And I'm like, I have no fucking clue. I'm like, I have no idea. It's just something that just, the hospitality side, like you said, it just either you have it or you don't.
You're Wisconsin, right?
No, Steve's Wisconsin. I'm Philly.
Philly, gotcha. Yeah, I'm the youngest of four. A few others got out, but I got out and I went everywhere: Denver, Boulder, Portland, San Francisco, Oakland, Austin, Brooklyn, Miami. I mean, I wanted to see it all, and there's always a restaurant there that can use me. You know what I mean? But I'm exhausted with that. I created this, and I think there's something really special here. And I have also turned it into a potential QR code digital experience. Not the same as meeting me, but if you're in a, like, let's see, what is it, Citizen M? Have you guys stayed with them yet? You know, they got the iPad, you know, like they're like very technology forward, but not too forward. Like they're still there. Like, why not have an option to scan to get a poem, you know, complimentary plus tip? It's all about making like people feel special and like elevating their life, you know. Martin Luther King said it best, everyone can be great because everyone can serve, you know.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I feel that. I feel that deeply.
I love that. I love that. So we got to ask, can you write us a poem for the Modern Hotelier?
Oh gosh, I mean, I'm prepared, but
You're prepared.
I mean, I brought the typewriter. I thought this might happen.
I figured we got to put it to use, right?
Yeah. Give me, so the only request I take for style of poems is haiku. I'm not going to do that for you. I don't know how you're going to fill this 90-second gap, but maybe just enjoy the clicks and the clacks.
We will. We will.
All right. On a mark, get set, go.
David, does this bring back good memories for you? Writing on a typewriter back in the day?
I had to take typewriting class, and it was horrible. I wasn't very good at it.
Almost done. So I always like to, do the. Can you hear the ding?
Yep.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah. Everybody loves the ding, you know. Then you roll it out, right? And then the guest, would you like for me to read your poem?
We would love that.
Yeah, sure.
Wonderful. So, Modern Hotelier. Come together. We are better united. Seems the theme is simple. Be open. Be pleasant. Feel this motion, this energy of trust. Watch as these wise men come to show you the evolution of hospitality that you can trust. So.
Oh, cool. That's good, yeah.
Well done. That was awesome. All just from the top of the head right there.
Yeah, I could have kept going, but you guys are wonderful. You do great work. And I think the passion's there. What I'm doing is whimsical. I work very hard and I get a lot of no's, but I'm convinced there's a place, there's a career, there's someone that wants to just be like, no, you're not working with any other company. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
It's awesome. And you do a great job too. Like that's very impressive. We've had John sitting by the whole time, kind of listening in the background. So I'm going to introduce John here. He's going to have one more question here before David sends us off here.
So I'm curious, you talked about you got started with poetry or kind of had that itch pretty early on, right? I'm curious, what other interests do you have that kind of influence your poetry or help you kind of create your own style?
Sure. so coincidentally, but not. I dance. I modern, like, I whatever you want to call it. I feel they're one and the same, but for me, it is just it's observation, and not observation and just like a physical, like labeling things. I think empathy is a very strong attribute. Some people have it more than others, and that can be very intense. I consider myself to be very empathetic. So constantly observing, feeling, putting myself in other people's situations, and again, like visualizing and observing it from my point of view and trying to put it in a perspective that isn't just some script, some simple doctrine, lawyer, like, written. I'm trying to, weave around it. And, the tequila and cocaine poems are great too. But like I said, everything is interesting. Not everything feels good. Some things hurt, but there's so much beauty to capture, and that's what I'm after. And I want people to know that. I want to help them capture beauty. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was. Look, Ryan, this was great. It was great. We kind of got into a different lane. We've had a lot of people that were more like just pure out hotel operators or tech people. So for anyone who's listening or watching that wants to hire you for a gig, give you a full-time job, or just get a poem done for somebody special to them, how do they find out? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so many angles, because I've done like videos, commercials, yada yada. And RyanAshleyThePoet.com. Google Ryan Ashley the Poet. I'm there. I got the Gmail, I got the LinkedIn, I got the Instagram, and I want to write a poem for you, everyone listening. Like, it would be an honor to do so.
The only ones I ever did when I was little were for my grandmother. I used to do the roses are red, violets are blue, and then I'd put something in there, and that was our little thing between us. But they were usually stupid. But anyway, but
no, those are cute. Those are cute, but violets are violet. Like. But semantics, don't get me started. That's a whole nother thing, But I do want to say one thing about poetry. No pretension. I want people to write. Creative writing, just let it go. I have a practice where almost every morning I wake up and I just write like gibberish, just like blah, like, literally purging words onto pages. I have no judgment. I have written horrible poems for people and been so embarrassed to give it to them. So goes it. The poetry snobbiness, like, probably is what the reason that poetry is not as popular as it used to be. And I'm not that guy. Nope. Have you ever been to Club Space in Miami?
No.
Yeah, it's a techno club. I have a residency there, typing poetry. Yeah.
Next time we're in Miami, we'll check it out.
Yeah, I wouldn't connect techno club and poetry. That wouldn't be my connections. That's pretty cool.
I promise you, I can bridge it together, but we'll do that next time we're face to face.
That's right. That's right.
I trust you.
You guys are so wonderful, and I feel so blessed to that you feel I was worthy for this, because you do some great work.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you for seeing my value, and
absolutely.
I want to say this out loud. Each of you, one free poem apiece whenever you're ready.
All right.
Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah.
Well, we were going to ask it. Thanks for offering, but we're going to demand it anyway.
I know. Like, it's easier on my heart if I get it out first,
Okay.
But
we appreciate
I got you guys.
I love it.
All right. Well, we had a great time. That does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier. We really appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing everyone again soon.
Thank you all. Have a great one.
You made it to the end of the Modern Hotelier. Thanks for listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Make More Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or follow wherever you get your podcasts. If you know of a guest or sponsor that would be a good fit, feel free to email us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.